One thing you might realize when you're starting to use Illustrator for the first time is its approach in creating stuff. Like if you're used to using Photoshop I would say is more closer to real life when you're doing work. But since you want to use it to create accurate symbols, like it's suitable for fonts and logos, right? So the approach that you take in creating things is instead, it's like trying to connect point A to point B, and then you just keep on connecting these points until they create a symbol or a shape. Like if you think about it, it's kind of like using Microsoft Paint. Like I'll show you what I mean in a bit. One of the main tools that you'll be using a lot in Illustrator is the shape tool. Like it's called the rectangle tool, but you can use it to make other shapes as well. And that's because using Illustrator is essentially just combining or dividing shapes. Like that's it. If you look at the logos on the left here, they're comprised of probably different types of circles or different types of rectangles, different types of triangles. And the thing is, you don't really draw them. You cut them out like cookie cutter pieces. This is what you do to either combine or divide the shapes. So there's like 10 options here for you to use in Pathfinder, but I'm just going to show you two things, which is combine things and to cut them apart. The top one is called unite, and dividing them is called divide lah. And you just put two shapes overlapping each other, and then you press either unite to combine it or press divide to take it apart. So let's say I want to make a keyhole shape. I can just select this circle, and then I select this triangle that I made. I put it on top of each other, and when I press the unite button, it's like one shape now. So with these basic principles, you are able to create complex logos, or you can even create like the shell logo there. And this is how you do it. So the Adidas logo is basically 3 rectangles slanted, and then you cut the bottom part. And this is what I mean. Just rotate the Adidas logo by 45 degrees, and then just create 3 rectangles and arrange them next to each other. If you don't know how to like duplicate a rectangle, rather than copying and pasting, just hold Control Shift and Alternate. For those of you who are using a Mac, Command Shift and Alternate. Hold those 3 keys and then drag your rectangle aside and let it go. And then now you have 2 rectangles. Once you're done with your 3rd rectangle, just add a line where the rectangles are supposed to end and make sure it's overlapping the rectangles. And then press divide, and that should like enable you to just take out the unnecessary parts that you don't want. I'm not going to bother using the Adidas font here because I don't want to get in trouble. One reason why I really love Illustrator is because, again, like I'm going to talk about vectors. Vectors don't get blurred out because it's not rasterized. So if I make a vector circle next to this target logo, which is a rasterized image, and I zoom in, you start to see that the target logo is starting to get pixelated and my vectorized circle is just as sharp as ever. So you can imagine how very useful this is if you want to print things at a large scale. You can just like print a building size thing with just a couple of KBs worth of size, and it's cool. Next thing we can do is the target logo, and this is even simpler. It's just basically 3 circles on top of each other, and that's it. Alright, so you just start with a red circle there, and then you want to duplicate it, but you want it to be in the exact same spot. So just press Ctrl C, but when you want to paste it, press Ctrl Shift V, so it pastes itself on the same spot. And now you want to make it bigger, so press S to open your scale tool and just pull your mouse outwards, and the circle should expand while being in the same anchor point. And then just do it again until you have like 3 rows of circles. And you press divide, and then now you're able to color the individual rings as you see here. One thing to note about Illustrator, you're essentially playing with outlines. If you press Ctrl Y or Command Y, you're gonna enter an outline view. And these lines are what you're actually editing, not the inside of the line, because it's not really a rasterized shape. It's just 3 points that meet together. And this is very useful when you want to make sure things are accurate or not. If you want to make sure the sides are touching. It's just a toggle, by the way. You can just, to turn it back off, you just press Ctrl Y again. And there you go. First, you're gonna have to draw the shell with the pen tool. For the top part, just take your pen tool and just trace around it, and you will notice that as you're holding the mouse and dragging it, some handles will pop up, and this is for you to better control the curves. You don't have to really like trace around the whole shell, just half of it is fine. And once you're done with that, just right click on the shell and go to transform, and you'll see an option to flip it vertically. Just do that, and then you should have like the whole shell shape in front of you. And there's a bit of a gap here, so let me just close it a bit by playing around with the points. And that's done. And now I just need to combine all of this so it becomes one singular shape instead of like a very messy thing. So now we've done the yellow part. Getting the red outline on the outside is also fairly easy. You don't really have to make a second set of shell. Some people will just use the stroke function, which is also fine. But there are some cons in doing that, which I will explain in another video. What you can do now is just go to your objects panel again. Look for something called offset path. So offset path will expand your shape outside without actually distorting it. Apparently, it takes 34 pixels to fit the red line. And then I'm going to press OK. And then I'm going to have to divide the two shapes. So now I'm able to color the outside part as well as the inside. And it's almost there. Now, all we need to do now is just create these sharp lines inside the shell. So don't waste your time drawing it. I mean, yeah, you do have to draw it, but you have to only draw it once. So just use the pen tool again to create a stroke. Go to your strokes panel and increase the width so it's not that much of a thin line. And right now it's a square. We don't want this yet. So yeah, in your strokes panel, scroll down a bit and you'll see something called profile, and select the profile shape that matches the shell shape, which is like sharp on one corner. From here now, all you need to do is press R, which is the rotation tool. Select your anchor point. I've already made some calculations here, so it's for me to know where to rotate. And then press Ctrl and alternate, hold it, and drag the line where it needs to be. So you can see now it's rotating at the pivot point that I've set. You don't need to do this 7 times, by the way. Just move it to the next line, alright? Let go, and then press Ctrl D or Command D. And Illustrator will just remember what you did before, and it will repeat the process again. So just do that 6 more times, and there you go. Yeah, just divide the outside parts, remove the unnecessary stuff. And you're now left with an almost accurate representation of the shell logo. Now, there are some minor stuff that I need to do as well. Like if you notice in the original shell logo, each of these inner prongs are a bit curved. And now I think you're quite ready to make your own logos. And if you think that this video has helped you, why not give our channel a like and subscribe? Because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, I hope to see like the logos that you design. And yeah, I'll just see you in the next tutorial. Bye!